to my sessions. I'm going to present my paper in this seminar sponsored by the Asia Pacific Society of Convergent Research Interchange. Well, the topic of my paper is described as form and real earnings management. Form and real earnings management. I'm talking about the relationship between form and real earnings management. My research objectives are as follows. Basically, I'm going to test the relationship called the correlation between the controlling shareholders and the real earnings management in Korean family firms. So, in other words, I'm going to test empirically the effect of controlling shareholders on the real earnings management. I think you are not familiar with the earnings management, especially real earnings management. Earnings management is an indicator of earnings qualities. That is how the earnings is reliable and how earnings is useful for outside investors in capital markets. So, as an indicator of earnings quality, we're going to use real earnings management, and I'm going to test how controlling shareholders will influence on the quality of earnings or the real earnings indicators. So my study is empirically try to analyze whether or if controlling shareholders will increase corporate value or we'll try to find out whether management is engaged in entrenchment effect. That is agents' problems. If management have agents' problems, they're going to take out money from outside investors and try to hide real earnings from outside investors. That's why basically I'm going to test the correlationship between controlling shareholders and real earnings management. So we're going to review the literature, body of literatures related with the earnings management, related with the agents' problems, related with the entrenchment effect, and so on. Maybe the most famous seminar paper is written by Johnson and McLean. They proposed there are really agents' problems between shareholders and management. So basically, managers asked by shareholders, they are supposed to try to maximize the firm value. There's the value of the shareholders' wealth, but there are some kind of discrepancy between managers' incentives and the shareholders' incentives. So they call it agents' problems. And later, Schreiber, Vishny, Mock, Schreiber, and Vishnu, they have proposed the other aspect of agents' problems. They argue that the agents' problems will happen between major controlling shareholders and minority and smaller shareholders. They proposed another kind of agents' problems, which happens between controlling shareholders and minority shareholders. And another literature is that Rapporta and Lopez Silens and Schreiber and Clance, Dankopf and Ram, they argued that in Asian countries, the Asian country firms have a different aspect from the Anglo-Saxon, Western European country firms. Means Asian firms usually they have big companies which is called the chamber. The company have one-man minority, big shareholders. They have more power, so they have more voting powers or managerial powers in relationship to the cash flow rights. So they argue, compared with their cash flow rights, they have more voting rights, and they exert much powerful managerial influence on their family firms. Their argument is very famous, and we are placing more emphasis on honest management of family firms. Actually, honest management is proposed by Alice Zhang and Wang. Initially, they argued that managers usually manipulate the accounting earnings by using or by choosing the accepted accounting methods, which is accepted, acknowledged by the accounting association of their countries. Within their discretion, on their discretion, they want to choose their desirable accounting methods to manage the earnings, to manipulate the firm's earnings. Why they manipulate accounting earnings? There are several reasons. First of all, they want to inflate their earnings, which is attractive in capital markets, so they will easily to raise more monies. Okay? Initially, which is called the discretionary accruals effects of earnings management. And the next, the Graham Harvey, Lagakar, Richard and Chan, they proposed the real earnings management hypothesis. They argue that the managers actually they manipulate or they manage the real business activities, such as postponing investment opportunities, postponing investment expenditures, or postponing research and development expenses, postponing training expenses. Why? They wanted to manipulate the accounting earnings by manipulating real business expertise. So this is a very attractive argument. And the next paper is about the real earnings management effect. We have two hypotheses about real earnings management effects. One is the exploitation effect hypothesis. The other is lactation effect hypothesis. Clance, Dankov, Pan, Ram, Moksha, Vishnu, Pan and Wang, Rusnanda, and Wiskop, Razuk, Ali, and Mentor, they proposed the exploitation effect hypothesis that is controlling big shareholders. They have some kind of incentive to exploit or expropriate some money from the outside investors, from minority investors. So this is called the exploitation effect hypothesis. Especially this exploitation effect hypothesis is severe when the country's legal system is fragile or weak. Then big major controlling shareholders will exploit some money from the outside investors, from minority investors, by manipulating real business activities, postponing investment expenditures, or decreasing training expenses, or decreasing research and development expenses, blah, blah, blah. This is called the exploitation effect hypothesis. The other hypothesis is called the lactation effect hypothesis. This argument is proposed by Stein, Aleitron, Gunther, and Cecilia. That means, managers or the major controlling shareholders have different incentives. They regard the family firm's lactation as most important. They place on the most stress on the long-term development, not the myopic growth. So they, based on this kind of incentives, the controlling shareholders or managers will not postpone investment expenditures, will not decrease research and development expenditures, and will not decrease training expenditures. So in this case, there will be no real earnings management in this kind of lactation effect motivated firms. So based on this kind of past literatures, we proposed two testable hypotheses. One is exploitation effect hypothesis. Second is lactation effect hypothesis. So we're going to test to see whether there will be positive relationship between controlling shareholders' dummy variables and their earnings management. Lactation effect hypothesis imply that there will be no relationship between controlling shareholders' dummy variables and their earnings management. So our model is described as this: that it is dependent variables is their activities expenditures. Their activity expenditures include investment, research and development expenses, training expenses. So basically, this model supposes that there will be the mean or average level of this managerial discretionary expenses. So from this model, we're going to extract the abnormal real managerial expenses. So abnormal, that is, error terms will be collected as abnormal managerial discretionary expenses in terms of research and development cost expenses or training expenses or the managerial investment expenses. So this abnormal managerial expenses is set up as dependent variables, and the other variable, the major testable variable is CS, is controlling shareholders. This is controlling shareholders dummy variables. The other is control variables, leverage ratio, firm size variable, the market variable, blah, blah, blah. These are control variables. So we're going to see whether this CS, controlling shareholders dummy variables, will have an effect on this dependent managerial discretionary expenses. So we're going to test how the correlation between controlling shareholders and managers' discretionary expenditures. So our result, the first result is descriptive statistics of our samples. So this is managers' discretionary expense variables. Of course, this values will be scaled by total assets. And there is the leverage ratio, firm size variable, return on asset variable, or blah, blah. So, our test result is this. We have 4 models, and controlling shareholders will have some effect on the real earnings management proxy variables. Abnormal managers' discretionary expenses. So the p-value of 4 models is here is 0.3, here is 0.5, here is 0.7, here is 0.6. These p-values are not significant, statistically. These p-values suggest that there are no correlations between CS and their earnings management. So this is a table obtained from the pre-K-IFRS sample period, means Korea adopted the International Financial Reporting System. Before the K-IFRS periods, there will be no correlation between CS and their earnings management. This means that managers will not will not conduct real earnings management. Managers have no incentive to manipulate their earnings by using real activities increase or real activities decrease. There is no relationships. This result will imply that managers will try to increase long-term firm value, or they want to maintain the firm's highly prestigious business reputations. So second result is that before the introduction of K-IFRS, there was no real earnings management by controlling shareholders. This is the result supporting the Lactation Effect hypothesis. That means managers appointed by controlling shareholders will emphasize their firm family's reputation, and they try to increase or try to maximize long-term value rather than myopic value or myopic decision makings. So they want to initiate. They will not initiate their earnings management. The second result is this. After K-IFRS period, basically after 2012, we have four models: Model 1, Model 2, Model 3, Model 4, and the coefficient estimate of CS right here is p-value is 0.005. Here is 0.005. Here is p-value is far more less than 0.0001 and less than 0.0001. This statistical result implies there will significant effect of controlling shareholders on real earnings management. That means in the family firms directed by controlling shareholders, there will be real earnings management. So controlling shareholders or the management appointed by controlling shareholders will be involved in real earnings management by frequently postponing the real business investment activities or decreasing research and development expenses, postponing training programs or something like that. There will be severe real earnings management in order to exploit some money from minority shareholders or outside investment. So this result will support the exploitation effect hypothesis or expropriation effect hypothesis. This is the second test result supports the expropriation effect hypothesis. Exploitation is the same word as expropriation. That means taking out some money from the other persons. So these controlling shareholders will take out some money from minority shareholders or outside investors through or by the means of manipulating their business activities in the firms. So this result will support the expropriation effect hypothesis. Means the controlling shareholders will try to pursue their private interests and take away some property of minority shareholders or external investors. So we have tested the two hypotheses. One is lactation effect hypothesis, and the other is exploitation effect hypothesis, or in other words, expropriation effect hypothesis. So we're going to summarize as they said that before the K-IFRS period, there will be no correlation between controlling shareholders and their earnings management, which supports the lactation effect hypothesis. Managers try to maximize the firm value, and the manager or the controlling shareholders will stress the long-term development, and they're going to regard their family's reputation as the most important. However, later, after the K-IFRS period, there will be some kind of positive correlation between controlling shareholders and their earnings management. That means controlling shareholders will try to influence their earnings management to take out or to exploit some money of the minority shareholders or the outside investors. So this kind of positive relationship between controlling shareholders and their earnings management will suggest that there will be the expropriation effect in Korean family firms, such as Korean chambers or Korean big business groups. There will be some kind of exploitation or expropriation effects between controlling shareholders and minority shareholders or outside investors. So this is all that I have studied in these papers, and I have explained the major test results and their implications in terms of financial economic literatures. So, is there any questions? So, I'm gonna to answer to any questions related with this my papers. I'm going to welcome your questions via my email. Let me see. I explain my emails. So you can find out my emails when you go in the Daegu University homepage. My email is open to everybody. So please send any questions via my emails. Thank you very much.